The irony of this training is if you feel like skipping this because you heard it before, you're missing the entire point of the training. This is critical for anybody who's striving for greatness. Now, if you're done training, if you're done practicing, practice. Who needs practice? That's an Allen Iverson reference. Allen Iverson, at unfortunately the premature peak of his career, decided to miss out on practices, and he's famous now, infamous for going downhill after feeling like he's a superstar. He doesn't need to be there to practice, and he's right. He doesn't need to be there to practice, but like I said, that was his peak of progression point. So I'm not just talking about the 10,000 hour rule that is often associated with becoming an expert. I'm talking about becoming excellent, becoming your best self, and really having a purpose and intent to become your maximum self, not just becoming an expert. So if you just want to get to expert level, then by all means, follow the 10,000 hour rule. But I cannot tell you the value that you would get out of continual training for your life. Why would you stop training? What is fun about that? What is fun about not having challenges in life and not being prepared for the next circumstance you might come across where you might need a little bit more discipline, or you might need a little bit more diligence, or you might need a little bit more strength, even if it comes to enjoying your life more. I think that's one of the things that you should also be training on as well, is making sure that you balance. You've got three areas of your life, and granted, you can come up with as many analogies or areas as you want, but physical, mental, and spiritual. If you're not constantly training in all three of those, let's call them like a three-legged stool to your livelihood, your purpose, your happiness. Again, I can say, a doctor taught this and that's what makes it important. No. Forget the doctors. Forget about the fact that, at the end of the day, every teacher on earth is trying to simplify what has helped them achieve success in their life and distribute it to you. And you can take that and, you can doubt it all day long. Or you can be skeptical and untrustworthy, or say, that might work for them, but not for me. But at the end of the day, continual training requires absolute humility. I had a fantastic training today with one of my sales reps, and he's really, really sharp. He's good at what he does. And he's one of those people that, he could start tuning down a little bit and tuning out and saying, you know what, I'm good enough. I'm really happy with where I'm at. I don't need to learn more. He's already been a state champion football player. He's already, crushing it more than all of my sales reps that I've come across, all of the sales reps I've come across over the last year and a half that have spent valuable money on training and progressing with their craft and time and effort into it. And here he comes and is already doing better than all of the ones that I've met. Yet he's got this eagerness to learn, and he wants to continue to sharpen his skills. You've got to learn how to train. You've got to learn how to be humble. It's not something that is in our nature. It's in our nature to complain. It is kind of in our nature to sit back and take the easy route. But I can tell you that will lead you quickly to depression. And I'll prove it with one simple analogy. I don't know anybody out there who would have fun going out in a soccer field, even if you like the game of soccer, who would have a lot of fun just kicking a ball into an empty net over and over with no resistance and be excited and be like, I'm winning. You probably wouldn't do that and enjoy it at all. But if you did, it would probably be like the first occasion, maybe the second occasion. Little kids love to complain about the goalie and about the adversity from the other team and the problems that exist. And, oh, man, this is hard. I don't know if I want to do this. This isn't really that cool. They're thinking the glamour and the vision of being on ESPN and things like that as they get a little bit older too. But in reality, we want resistance. We want a challenge. We want to progress. We have something within us that drives us to want to be better than we are currently. And as we unlock achievements and progress and give ourselves credit for that progress, we get dopamine feelings and our endorphins start to take off. And again, I'm not going to pretend to be a scientist on this stuff, but I can tell you I have an extreme amount of peace in my life, and I have accessed a lot of happiness throughout my life by making sure that I'm constantly improving, constantly learning, constantly seeking opportunities to become better. Because of that knowledge and what I've learned, I have a lot of different things that I can do thanks to that. So whether it's being able to play chords on the piano, or learn new songs in the guitar the way I want to, or learn how to act or learn how to sing. But let's go back to profession, whether that's complex sales and being able to sell 4 different decision makers, or board members at the same time who all have different needs, desires, and benefits. And you don't have the luxury of catering your pitch to the one person who's a blueprint, or catering your pitch to the one person who falls in this particular emotional category, or what this software says. Oh, no, I'm sorry, my friends. Sales at the higher level isn't that simple. And when you're negotiating or looking at mergers and acquisitions, you're looking to take over companies, or you're looking to create partnerships where you've got legal terms to get into place and you need to know how to navigate those waters. I can do that with ease and with confidence and with a calmness because I have put in the hours to do the training, which usually comes in the form of the training people hate most, which is practice. So I practice a lot. I practice in live scenarios. I practice in front of the mirror sometimes. I practice with my other team members. Practice, practice, practice. Whether it makes perfect or not, does it really matter if it makes you better or makes you your best self? That's what we're striving for and after. So I recommend stay in tune, be self-aware of how you feel about training, and try to be open. Try to ask, what more could I do? How could I do better? What is it that you're not telling me that I could be better at? Tell me that. What do you think is going to offend me about the way I do things? Will you please share that information with me? If you're not eagerly seeking with that type of humility and active learning, then people aren't going to want to share with you. And it's not because they don't like you. It's not because they want to deceive you. It's because they're tired of dealing with people in their life who just complain or make excuses or even get mad at them for trying to give feedback. You ever had that situation where you give somebody some feedback hoping that you're going to improve their life, and they act like you just attacked their mom, and they go off on you? Oh, why would you say something? You're so rude. Why don't you mind your own business and do things your own way? You're not the boss of me. How are you so judgy? Blah, blah, blah. Most people don't want to give feedback because they're used to receiving that type of retaliation from those who they give feedback to. So they avoid it at all costs. They do not want that conflict. So if you want to progress and you want to train well, you have got to proactively, diligently, authentically, and genuinely ask people for feedback. How can I get better? Even in the moments when you win. Because you don't always necessarily win because of what you did. 2 things come to mind with that. One that comes to mind is that car commercial of the little kid who's trying to use his force powers to start the car. And the dad behind the scenes ends up starting the car from within the house with his remote. And the kid is like, oh my gosh, I worked, I've got the force with me. Cool, that's awesome. And I'm glad that it made his day and it's happy and it's joyful and all that. On the flip side, it's important later in life for that kid to realize that, wait a second, there's more to it. There's more to the success that occurred than my magic hands, or than me thinking that I actually understood what went on. The same is true in basketball games. This is my example number 2, basketball and football games. After the game, the very next day, they always have a film session. And in their film sessions at the professional levels, they're critiquing what went wrong, what could have been done better, and they're looking at what things did we do that worked really well that we should consider doing more of. They're constantly re-preparing, and that's how they get so good at dominating their crafts. We want to have that same type of mentality as professionals, because once you are moving past that 10,000 hour level that everybody else is striving for in your career, you're going to finally move past the results that everybody else is stuck at. You cannot move past the results everybody else is stuck at if you're stuck trying to do the minimum just like everybody else. So let's make sure to be diligent, be eager to learn, be open to opportunities, be coachable. Learn where you're weak with coaching. I'm weak in coaching in certain regards. I have certain constraints, certain things that certain styles I don't like, certain tones, certain word triggers. But the more the more I explore that, the more self-aware I become, the more power that I'll have to combat those and put myself into a position of coachability. Go be awesome. Thanks so much for your time. Keep training hard and make sure you're utilizing it to better your life.